Hey, what's up, nerdies? English Dave here for part two of our two-part Back to the Feature on 1990s Home Alone. I'm here with my fellow wet bandits, Rocket Mike and Mercedes. What's up, wet bandits?
What's up?
Okay, so we're gonna do a deep dive into the film itself. The synopsis is as follows: an 8-year-old troublemaker must protect his house from a pair of burglars when he's accidentally left home alone by his family during Christmas vacation. The movie opens with the now famous music. I love the score.
John Williams.
I was saying to Mike Mercedes that every time the score comes on, you just can't help but sing it and hum along to it. It's the Home Alone score. I love it. And I like the opening because, again, even though this isn't a Christmassy music, it does set the tone for the time and the period. You know, you instantly know it's Christmas time. You don't have to be told. You know, and that's what I like about that. And we cut in the night before this family goes on a trip. Mike, I'm going to start with you. You know, you said earlier on that you didn't notice that Harry was already in the house pretending to be a policeman, scoping the place, and all this chaos. Have you ever been around a big family environment during Christmas time? Is it as chaotic for you?
If it wasn't for Christmas, it was definitely like just on occasion. And yeah, especially during Christmas. Actually, now that I come to think of it, it was all my cousins' kids. They all have boys, and they were all around the same age. Around the last time I saw them all for Christmas, which was like, I don't know, like they're like 4 or 5 years old. Just might as well have destroyed everything. And so to see that giant family has brought some PTSD back, you know. So I feel for all the parents, and I don't know how they do that, but you know, like I said, with that giant house, I would have hired at least a staff to help me with all this. But right. Yeah, more power to them.
No, I think I agree. I think I come from a big family as well, and whenever we get together for events and Christmas, you know, it's especially when we're traveling together. I've traveled with my family, with a big family before. Oof. And it is chaotic. It is crazy because there's the stress already of trying to travel, even traveling alone, let alone with a huge family. There's a lot of stress going on. And I think they capture that stress really well. Poor pizza boy just wants to get paid. He's just like, someone's going to give me $111. Though for 10 pizzas, that's pretty good though. Yeah, 10 pizzas, $100-something. And
especially at the time, because I feel like pizza was it was, and this was like Ohio, because weren't they in Ohio at the time? It's not like they were in New York. They were in New York. They were not in a place where, you know, pizza was the thing. Like, there was a dollar slice. There was no dollar slice.
It was like the one pizza place in their neighborhood.
I like the ongoing joke of whoever drives up keeps knocking the statue on the floor. You know, every single time. I don't know why, but I always love that.
The gnome.
All right. You also get, you know, Mike, we spoke about it before, how naughty Kevin is, you know, but at the same time, everyone's just so mean to him, you know. He just wanted his cheese pizza. You know, and Buzz, the way Buzz is acting like, I'm going to throw it up in your face, you're a dork. Like,
it's the whole
he just wanted some attention, and nobody wanted to give it to him.
Yeah.
But like, were they mean to him first, or was he always a little shit? Like,
that is the question.
They're talking to each other with a lot of history that we don't know. Like, what was the root cause of this? But,
I mean, Mike sounds like an older child, just so defending Buzz, being like, "Listen, you guys don't know what it's really like with these little fucks." Okay.
Sat down. We're in our fucking 15th session now. I'm really getting into some deep stuff. All right.
Talking about Buzz. Buzz is the one that, you know, scares him by telling him the story of Mr. Marley. We're introduced to Mr. Marley next door, the old man that supposedly killed his wife, and every day he salts the street to hide, blah blah blah. And you know, it's that moment you see how innocent Kevin is. You're like, oh, he's such an innocent little kid believing the stupid lies.
It's like the old guy in F is for Family.
Right? Yeah.
Who's the not concentration camp survivor, and then everyone's afraid of him, but then you realize his stories are actually really sad. You're like, oh.
Can I tell you, I love the Mr. Marley narrative, and I love where that goes. I think it's part of the heart of this film because it connects to Kevin. Because, you know, later on we'll get into it when they have that meeting at the church. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Kevin ends up having a pizza fight with Buzz because Buzz stole his pizza, which is something that many people don't notice. That during this fight, Kevin's ticket is knocked into the trash. I think that's a very subtle thing that's added to the movie that many people miss.
It was so subtle because I'm like, why are they focusing on this trash can? They have like this perfect overhead shot, and all I could think of was like, damn, they got some fancy red napkins. This looks nice. Never had red napkins. Like,
yeah, we forget.
That's all I was thinking. I was like, oh, they look nice.
I forget because like I saw this movie obviously 10 years later, especially probably late, and when I started really understanding the dialogue and kind of, you know, the comedy going on in between the lines was probably maybe 15 years after the movie actually came out, which means that by this time we actually had some sort of online booking system. Like people weren't necessarily always calling an airline, getting that paper printed ticket. So that scene is actually truly significant because when you look back on that, like if you did, like people didn't have printers. Everybody was using like a fax machine back then. There were no cell phones. So, you know, if the ticket was in the garbage and, you know, like they were getting in the car and, you know, they had everyone else's ticket and Kevin's wasn't there, it's probably like a really easy thing to miss. You would think that like he's with somebody else.
No, I agree. I think, again, the movie's full of subtle little things that are placed. Again, like Mike noticing the fact that Harry was in the house early on. I think this movie has rewatchability to it that makes you kind of notice, oh, that little thing or this little thing.
Case in the place.
Right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I love the moment again because, again, things switch up again because Kevin is sent to go to sleep in the attic. That's not his room. He was forced to sleep there because he was being naughty. So that's another thing that changes things. And I think it was only the mom that it was the mom who sent him up there. And I love the moment where he kind of makes the wish, I wish you were never, I didn't have a family or something like along those lines. And this is again where the magical realism happens because when he goes to sleep, I love the scene where you just see the wind rustling, you know, the leaves and things like that. And it's almost like this magical thing happening.
Reminds me of Big.
It just happens
exactly.
Circumstance.
Big is a good example, Mike. I kind of like that. That's a good example because it's like, oh, the magic is happening. Because then again, what happens next is then there's a storm, the tree falls, takes out the power and the phone lines, which I forgot that happens too. Again, it's just like, oh, is this some kind of divine entity happening, interference going on here? Because chain of events are happening, which then leads to them waking up like, oh shit, you know, we woke up late. You know, we've all been there waking up late and just rushing like hell. And this moment is when I understand, I would say that I don't know if you pay attention to this, when they're doing the head count. Stupid, annoying kid Mitch Murphy. Hi, I'm Mitch Murphy. We care the house over here, blah, blah, blah.
No, John Hughes had some kind of like kid neighbor. Some like
that's what
lived in his neighborhood. Like that's based on a real person. That's
well,
so
it has
specific.
to be.
We all grew up with a kid like that. We're just like, all right, okay, enough. We get
what
it.
Is that? Is that over there? Me and my family, we're going. But again, there's some exposition there because he says, me and my family, I forget where he says are going. And that comes back later because Kevin's like, wait, I thought the Murphys had gone away to blah, blah, blah. I forget exactly where it was, but it's a subtle line there. But again, it makes sense when the older cousin is doing the head count and Mitch Murphy's wearing the same kind of hat that Kevin would wear. And so he gets counted as well. So, you know, I've been there where I've been on family vacations or family gatherings where my uncle's like, take care of your little cousin. So as far as he's concerned, I'm taking care of his son, you know, because I'm the older cousin. So I can see where the confusion could be, you know, in all of that.
Yeah, when things get crazy, you're just counting. You're not necessarily let me see your face. You know, right. You're just like, all right, there's a body here. We're good.
Right.
No one's got a moving buddy like you had, David. You know, like that would have helped.
Right. And then we get some exposition. You know, when they're talking. What's up, Raven?
What's up?
Hey. Raven's joined us for those listeners. Mercedes, I'd ask you, imagine having an argument with your family and saying, I don't care if you all disappeared. And you woke up the next morning, you're like, I made my family disappear.
So here's the thing. At that age,
whatever. Mercedes BFFs with her mom, so you'd be crying.
No.
Raven, I'm going to ask you instead.
That's not true. Actually, me and my mom just became BFFs. That friendship. And I think Raven, I could actually attest to this. Me and my mom just became friends.
I was around, yeah.
We
guys were secretly BFFs without realizing it. I think,
but we were not friends. We were definitely Kevin and the mom. We were definitely Kevin and the mom during Home Alone.
Kevin,
yeah.
Okay, so you had a fight with your mom. You know, you're a young kid and you wish them to disappear.
I would have did the same. Home Alone hits thing for me because like that would be me. I would wake up and I would do the same shit. And then especially during quarantine with 2020, I feel like we all just like went through our own version of like Home Alone. Like what would we do if we could be at home 24 hours a day?
I did eat a lot of ice cream.
I feel like Home Alone is the beginning part of the quarantine.
Yeah, everybody
you know,
had a beginning.
Not now part of quarantine, the beginning part. You know, when it was fun.
Yeah,
you know,
when it was fun. Now it's like, what am I gonna do? Sit around and do nothing again?
When we were getting that extra $600 a week, you know.
Oh, super fun then.
That was
super fun. That was a good time.
Right, that's when we were buying all the ice cream. We were buying all the ice cream. You were like, I'm watching trashy movies.
I was eating big ass sundaes. Now I'm like, I don't need dessert.
Dude, that's when the memes came out of like, we need more pajamas because nobody's leaving the bed. So yes, I was with Kevin, you know, but that's a childlike response. Watching the movie as I got older, I was definitely like, damn, homie, you're not going, you got to eat a meal. You're not going to want to eat this shit for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
I love that scene.
You might want to get more than just eggs and toothpaste.
Right.
that sequence where it's just like, I'm watching trashy movies and eating bad food. Somebody stop me. I feel like that's all of us during quarantine.
Yep.
For
First
sure.
2 days, yeah.
For sure. We're sitting there like, laughing at our bosses, suckers.
Right.
Like owning a building right now.
and then next week you eat a salad and you're like, why does the salad taste so good? It's because your body's craving like chlorophyll and
Anything
like
green.
Anything green, vegetable.
I also love the sled part, you know, because there's always that one dumb thing you're gonna do when your parents are.
So funny enough, the sled part I have done in real life many times.
Of course.
My cousins and I were kind of menaces. It's like we used to go down the steps on the tops of the toy bins. It was fun, and we did quite a few rounds. But on about the 6th, 7th run, my cousin went right through that wall, and we all had to just stay silent and not admit why there was a big ass people-sized hole in my aunt's
like a cartoon character
doorway. It literally was shit like that. But yeah, you know, and then I saw this movie, I was like, it's not just us guys, it's okay.
No,
but
it's
our
not just us,
parents
Mom.
were home. Our parents were home.
He was like, it's not just us, Mom. The white kids are doing it too.
You needed that.
Fully innocent.
And of course, one of the most famous scenes in the movie is when the mom wakes up. Kevin! And what I love leading up to that realization that she forgot her kid is narratively that they do a good job of setting the pieces, because earlier on Kevin leaves the house and like he's like, oh, the cars are still here. They mustn't have gone anywhere. And then later on when the mom's trying to think, what did we forget? The dad's like, oh shit, I forgot to close the garage door. And I like that little kind of, it's just subtle little narrative things that add to it that make sense of her thinking, oh, that must have been it, till like, oh shit. One of my favorite moments as well is, you know, the sticky bandits or the wet bandits in this film. They're not quite the sticky bandits yet. One of the best moments of Kevin's ingenuity, you know, like just when they try to rob the house and he just flips all the lights on quickly to make it seem as if that the house is occupied. And I was like,
that's my favorite part.
Smart,
he's like, that's rocking around.
Smart little kid. And
part,
and you know, this is where
I'm not that smart, even as an adult. Most of the shit Kevin was doing,
I'm
still trying to figure it out.
Wayne Gretzky,
right.
Future little serial killer though. I feel like, if it was Kevin, where is he now? I feel like he's like in jail. He's a little.
For sure.
Hey,
for sure.
You know what?
But
I'm
not hating because he taught me some stuff. Because as a kid, I was like, yo, I'm gonna do that if
that's my thing.
Attacked me. Like,
I
learned.
I feel like
shit.
I feel like as you watch this movie, especially if you're of a certain age where you were young and you grew up with this movie, you go through different stages where it's like, I'm with Kevin, then Kevin's an asshole. But then now I'm at the stage where I'm like, actually, if someone was trying to rob my house, you know, like, this is my house. You came to me. You know, like, I didn't come to you. You know?
And when you're a kid, you don't realize the consequences of certain
Right.
You don't
but
think
he's
about
so smart that these people,
people.
but it's like they're repeatedly, like he already hurt them once and they're continuously trying.
Right.
So like now that's where he gets the hubris to be like, I'm defending what's mine. Ha. And it makes sense. Like I would do the same shit. Like
he even says in one scene, I'm the man of this house and I'll protect it, which then makes sense, you know, when the mom sends the police over Of course, he's not going to open the door. He thinks it's the bad guys. You know, as a kid,
he saw one of them as a cop. Now
that made a lot of sense to me as I got older too.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I didn't understand. I just thought it was a natural mistrust for cops. So I was like, I feel you, bro. But it makes way more sense now.
It was like, don't trust the popo.
Kid,
Yeah.
I'm
I'm like,
smart for his
yeah, but
age.
the police.
Right.
But yeah.
and then on top of that,
makes a lot more sense now.
it's established something I didn't pick up the first couple of times.
She remembers
I
that
didn't
too.
realize till this time is that it's established that the phone lines are out for 2 days, so you can't even call. You know, during the storm. So it's not like you can call the
Paris
police.
was like, why doesn't anybody just call the house? I was like, I forgot why they don't. I
Yeah,
know
no.
they do, but like,
As they're
I forgot
leaving,
why.
as they're leaving, the guy says, "Oh, your phone line's going to be cut off for 2 days," and I was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. We're not going to be here." Like that's a line of dialogue that's in the film. And I was
Little
like,
did you know.
Didn't even notice it.
Also, what a loaded neighborhood. I've never heard of a whole neighborhood going away for the holidays. Where do your peoples live?
Because all of them are rich.
They all know each other. Yeah.
That's why they're scoping it out.
Like going away is a thing. Look at your house.
I mean, Harry says that to Marv. This neighborhood is a super rich neighborhood. These are all rich people. They leave their doors open, and they kind of like there's rich people that they have no clue, and that's why they're stealing from them in the first place.
Yep.
Where am I? You know, the police are kind of assholes when the mom's trying to call. You know, like I'm like,
yeah, they're
police.
super dicks.
Like it's like crazy lady on line 1.
Yeah.
Also, she's telling you she left like an 8-year-old at home. It's not like they're like 18.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
She's
the way
coming
they're
clean.
acting is like, Miss, they went by the house. No one saw him. Like, it's actually more scary that the child I know I left at home isn't home.
And they're just like,
right?
whatever, crazy lady.
What do you mean?
It's like I'm telling you that I left the child, so the child's unattended, and you're like, yeah, we didn't find anything. No, I'm telling you, I left.
Like
it.
that's
so
way worse.
That's why
my kid
you
might not have a pulse.
Right.
Right.
Like if you don't find anything, that's why, because I left it. So I need you to investigate as to where my child is.
You're the cops.
Right.
Like break in. What?
Well, they're also like, well, you guys just leave your front door open anyway, right? So we could just walk right in. They're an extension of how just nonchalant they are.
You could have just opened the door, peeked in. Hey, kid.
They live there too.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Mike, I want to ask you, before you could grow a beard, did you do your background, the aftershave?
I had to try it once before, yeah.
And then realized
Does it actually burn?
It doesn't burn if you don't shave.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, what am I doing with this?
There's nothing. You didn't cut anything.
It'd be like acid. I'm like, this is nothing.
That's
what I always thought too.
The first time I did it too, I was like, "Wait, this doesn't do anything." Until you shave.
You're sitting there for mad long. Maybe I got to slap harder.
So wait, what happened when you shaved for the first time, David?
Because
where you were like, oh!
I mean, it doesn't sting that bad, but you do feel the tingles, just like when you pull like any kind of alcoholic thing on a wound or something, because it's just the cuts. But yeah, he did make it seem as if it's super painful. So as a kid, I was scared to actually shave because I thought it would hurt. Yeah.
Me too. I was glad I didn't have to shave because of this movie. I was like, poor guys, man. Just face burning every morning. You get up to go to work.
Yes, we suffer every day.
Just scream in the mirror. Go to work.
Right. Kevin goes toothbrush shopping. And this is where, once again, old man Marley comes in and Kevin gets freaked out. I love the sequence where he's like, is this a toothbrush? What is it? The official?
Is approved
FDA
by the FDA. Yeah.
Or is it the ADA?
The ADA, something like that.
Dental Association?
Can I tell you, that is such a question that a smart kid would ask. But still a kid. It's still a kid.
It is. Yeah.
You know, trying to be grown up.
Also, I feel like as an adult, you know when you're scaring the shit out of a kid with your face. His face was a scary face. Why would you look at a kid like that so intensely?
It's old man face, though. Old man face is intense.
By the end of the movie,
I know.
He was sweet old man. But in that moment, he's like, and the camera's all zooming in and shit. Why would you look at smile or something?
Say hello.
Like, if I look at a kid like that, they're gonna run from me.
You were just straight up fucking with him at that point. He's just kind of like, fine, be afraid of me.
That's what I thought. He's fucking with this kid the whole movie because every time he looks at him, he's like, I'm like, that ain't your regular face. Stop fucking with this kid.
Though you could also look at this movie as
you
could also look at this movie as the unreliable narrator aspect, where a lot of I was reading some info about the DP of this film, and a lot of the stuff he did was in some of the scenes he would shoot it from Kevin's perspective, and in terms of the height, it would have a wider frame of view and things like that. And so the director wanted to kind of enhance certain things from Kevin's perspective. So you could also argue that, well, maybe that's how Kevin sees the old man. Maybe that's not what the old man is doing, but that's how Kevin perceives it. Because as kids, we perceive things as we do. Like the same way earlier on, Kevin perceived the boiler as this monster in the boiler room until he realizes, like, I'm not afraid of you anymore. So we get moments where we're seeing his perspective, which might not necessarily be the reality of how it actually was. And I think the movie does a good job of that, of as smart as Kevin is, we're constantly reminded that he's still a kid. Like even later on where he's talking to Santa's helper, it's like, I know you're not the real Santa, but can you give him a message for me? So he still believes in Santa, but knows this guy isn't Santa. So it's like, they do a great balance of like, he's still a kid though, and he's still going to have kid sensibilities in his thinking. I love the chase when he's getting chased for shoplifting. I'm like, damn, people are going crazy for a toothbrush. Is it that serious?
Yeah, for real.
Raven, how many times did you ever want to slide between someone's legs on an ice rink? I know you wanted to do that. On your knees.
I have.
I knew it.
Set it up.
I have. It was fun. It wasn't on purpose. I bust my ass, but
I always want to do that.
I did it. I did feel like Kevin.
Slide.
In the end, I was like, like I made it. It was nice to live.
I love the moment, the subtle moment after that, where he's like, "I'm a criminal." Like he feels really bad.
But I mean, I would feel like one too. He's a back-to-back criminal. One, you made your family disappear. You're kind of a murderer on the low. Now you're a thief. You got the whole town out looking for you.
Right.
The whole town was looking for him. It's scary.
We cut to the Wet Bandits, and we find out why they're called the Wet Bandits, because Marv likes to block people's sinks. That's kind of a dick move, though. Like, steal my shit, don't fuck up my house. Like, really?
I hate people like that, though. Like, take what you need,
right?
But leave the rest intact.
Right? Kill the foundation, just rotting all the wood. That's great. No idea what that work goes to.
Right, and then people are gone for like a week. That's a week.
That's what I'm saying.
Water.
That's
it's
a lot of damage.
It's not like it was like 3 hours of damages. It's like your whole house is mold.
I think these houses have big basements.
And it's wintertime. It's over.
They have big basements, so you're gonna flood that whole basement, right?
Oh yeah.
Like damn, like really? That's kind of
that's messed up. I don't think it hit me as much as now when I'm older, and I'm like, I can't imagine.
This guy's collapsing houses.
Things. Right? And I love when Harry's like, man, you're sick. Like, really? Like, why?
You're a sick man, Mom.
You're a sick person. Raven, don't answer this question right now. I asked everyone else. But at some point, I'll ask you again. You have to tell me your favorite gag stunt in this film. Mike spoke about the Marv and the stairs which leading up to the nail in the foot.
That's my second fave.
Mercedes spoke about the hand on the door, and I spoke about Marv hitting Harry in the chest when he saw the spider on his chest. That whole sequence. So I'm gonna ask you. Don't answer now. Don't answer now. Keep it.
I know my favorite. I'm gonna say it now because I feel like if you give me time, I'm just gonna keep changing my mind. So, no, I think my favorite stunts are Harry's stair sequences. Like all of them. Like when he's trying to get down the steps and he busts his ass and then he gets back up the steps and he's slipping. Was it Marvin? It was Harry, right?
Well, they both have stair sequences.
It was Joe Pesci.
They both have.
But when he's going from outside and he was trying to get into the basement.
Oh, the basement. That's Marv. Marv goes to the basement and then Joe Pesci, Harry tries to go to the front door.
Front door might be mine too.
Because then he flips back, and then he comes back.
That's
and then he grabs the hand.
Stand on the knob and he flies back, and then his head.
And the backflip is impromptu.
Because he kicks the door open. He kicks the door open.
Yeah, and then a flame torch.
Is he? Because Kevin has thought of every single.
That's my favorite part when his head gets flame torch for sure. And then he has to put his whole head in the snow. Oh, great.
One of our favorite scenes when Kevin orders his pizza and using great pause and play and rewinding skills, because that's you got to know exactly what you're doing.
I feel like that's the collective '90s kid favorite part. Like,
of course.
Keep the change, you filthy animal. Oh, it's the best. It's one of the best parts, man. That timing is amazing.
So well done.
Like, did he take notes?
Like, you
rehearsed that for sure.
At 15:34, and
poor pizza kid. He's just trying to deliver his pizza.
Right, and that shitty 20-cent tip. I would have been furious too.
Keep the change.
Yeah, could you imagine 20 cents?
And then to be insulted after you tip me 20 cents? Come on.
Filthy animal.
You got to choose one.
I love the juxtaposition of, we cut to the mom being desperate to try and find a ticket home, trying to talk to that old couple, and the old man is like, "No, dearie, don't talk to that crazy lady." I like how that cuts, to Kevin realizing that he actually misses his family. The loneliness hits in. It's like after that rush of like, yay, it's like, oh, well, no, I'm by myself now. He's looking at his picture of the family. And I'll say, Raven, this is what makes the movie, as ridiculous as the concept is, the movie works because it has heart to it. It's a movie that reminds of the importance of family.
It's not just a stupid movie.
No. I'll say to Mike how actually the crazy zany antics of the film are like 20 minutes in the last act. When I was younger, I thought it was the whole film.
Me too. I only realized watching it like within the past 24 hours that like, did nothing happen in this movie until the last 20, 30 minutes?
It's because it's all built up.
Like, I really thought like throughout the whole film we had all these stunts and and I was like, yo, it's literally the last 30 minutes of the film where things finally start happening. The other hour is just little kid survival techniques.
And it just built up. I think
everyday child.
That speaks to it's an almost 2-hour movie. That speaks to the pacing of it. Because you don't feel that at the beginning, because you think it happens a lot quicker. You think all that's rushed through, and it isn't. It's actually goes slowly through.
I realize now we're actually just feeling anxiety for like the mom forgetting her kid and the kid being forgotten by his family for that whole first hour. We're just stressed about that, I think. So it's like you forget, and then there's these burglars trying to get into the house. There's a lot going on.
And I was saying to Mike, and I think that adds to the stakes, because that whole first hour, you think somebody's going to, if you've not seen the film, you're thinking something's going to happen to this kid. You don't think he's going to be fine and okay. You're thinking something, at least something could happen to him.
You're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly. I think they do a good job of that, where you don't think he's completely protected. Kevin goes grocery shopping. But Mike, I know we've all been here before. We all learned this the hard way. He learned the hard way, as all kids do. You always double bag it.
Mm-hmm. I want to know how they got that gag to have both bags
the timing
at the same time. Yeah, I was like, man, that's like pre-ripped
or like
just
how
a little
long
bit.
did they have him? How long did they have him walking down the street? Those bags held out until they fight him.
Can you imagine?
At the same time,
like walking like 2 miles. He's still he's not breaking. You're a kid. Keep walking.
Come on, Macaulay. We just need the bags to break. Keep going.
They probably had some string at the bottom they taped to it. They just pull.
Yeah, probably.
They just to rip it open, things like that. Also, the laundry moment when he goes to do the laundry downstairs, it's one of his moments of growth, where he's just like, I'm not afraid of you anymore, to the boiler, closes his eyes and just kind of says, no, I'm not afraid. And I think this sets up the rest of the film where he's not going to be afraid, because the first time the bandits came over, he hid under his bed or tried to pretend people in the house. Now he's actually thinking, I'm not afraid anymore. Fuck that shit. And this is when, not long after, the bandits start to suspect that maybe he's home alone. And so, at least one of my favorite moments, when Marv is sent. Mike, I'll talk to you about this moment. When Marv hears the story of snakes.
Snakes. Why do I know snakes?
Why don't I know this guy? Snakes.
I just love the way he
runs away there. Like, let's get out of here. Someone just got smoked.
He's seen this.
Go. But then again, Marv is...
I'm like, Kevin must have the most amazing sound too. Like,
what
is his sound system like to where all the way outside and all the way down the damn driveway, you very much believe there are gunshots being fired at
Though I will say, Kevin Smart, he put the bangers near the door, the firecrackers, to kind of give the extra, 3D sound effects.
He's just a special effects genius, that kid.
Right? He is. He should go to special effects. He's like MacGyver.
It's borderline like the behind the scenes of how they made the movie. It's like, this is an insight on how we do these.
Right.
I know.
Though I like Harry's comment when he's like, no, let's not leave, because if a double murder happens and we get caught for stealing some stuff, they're going to put it on us. Maybe we should see the face of these murderers, so let's stay and wait. I'm like, actually, that is smart.
Which is smart. But it's also like, nah, get out of there. Why would you linger?
Stay and wait.
You're just
going to
get
stay and
any
wait
other
for
house.
the
Wet bandits.
Right.
You're a guy with gold teeth in this neighborhood. Come on now. Like,
but eventually they do catch on that he is home alone, and they make a plan to come back at 9 p.m. And Kevin overhears this. On that note, Mike, you have to go soon.
Yeah. So, sorry about that, guys.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you
All
for
good. We showed up late to the party.
thank you for being a part of this, and appreciate it.
This is just a hop in, hop out podcast today.
There you go.
Right? It's fun.
Everybody jumped in when they could. It's like a double Dutch.
Right.
Yeah.
Jump in,
And
jump out.
pass it. All
There
right.
you go. There you go. It's like the relay. Pass the baton. The relay stuff. All
Introduce
right. Well,
yourself.
Mike,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you as always.
We'll
Have a
see-
great night.
See you on the next one. We'll carry
For sure.
I'll carry on with these two.
All right.
Bye,
where are
Mike.
we?
See you later, Mike.
We cut back to the mom. This is where we get a cameo from John Candy. They're stuck in Scranton, and we John Candy's Gus, who offers a lift, and I like that. I like his Gus. He's like, "I'll help you." I love his moment where he's like,
Did this movie come out after Planes, Trains, right?
"It was
It did.
before. It was after.
Wait.
Yeah, it's after. It was
Yeah.
after."
I'm like, was that kind of an homage to his character in
I
Planes,
feel
Trains,
like-
and Automobiles?
I feel like he plays the same character and everything because he's the same in Uncle Buck as well.
True. He is always the guy
He's just
you end up with. He was
Right.
never the guy you planned. He's
No.
the guy you end up with. You might be sorry you did, but he's got heart.
I love the moment where he's just like, me. You never heard of me, the Poker King of
Poker Poker King.
Poker King of the Midwest, huh? He's so surprised that she's
Sheboygan.
never heard of him. Like,
Yeah. He's like, a couple big hits in the 70s.
but he's like,
Thanks.
we've sold 800 records.
800, I know.
I'll be like, can you just drive the car as fast as you can?
For real.
Like what? And this is the next scene is the scene where I was saying earlier how Kevin gives Santa the message, and this is where we start to realize the heart of the film. Kevin realized that he misses his family. He asks Santa, I know I was bad. I know I wish my family to go away, but I don't mean that. Can you bring my family back? And he's also drawn to the church, and this way he meets Mr. Marley. And I love that story because you have two people, that a young kid and an old man, who have both had problems with their family because of a fight. And so looking at Mr. Marley, when Kevin finds out the story, Mr. Marley saying, yeah, me and my son had a fight, we don't talk to each other. Kevin's like, call him. If my dad called me, it doesn't matter how bad the fight, I'd want to talk to him. And in a sense, it kind of makes Kevin remember that his family.
And it's so sweet too, because you don't even realize Kevin even likes his dad like that.
Yeah, right?
It's like, no, you want to talk to your dad.
Right? And I think that's where the real meat of the story kind of comes together for Kevin, of realizing that realization that, yes, I can survive on my own. Yes, I can protect myself. But also, yes, I love my family. It doesn't mean I have to be alone just because I can be. I love my family. I want to be with my family.
Yeah. And I also love the line. I think when Kevin asked him, he was like, why don't you? He's like, because I'm afraid or whatever, because I'm scared that he won't, whatever, he won't want me to, whatever. And then he was kind of just like, you're a grown up though, like grown-ups still get scared. Like, aren't you too old to get scared? And he's like, there's a lot of things you grow out of when you get old. Being scared isn't one of them. It's like, damn right. Because like when I was a kid, I didn't hear that whole line at all. But now I watch it and I'm like, that is so true. You are never too old to be scared at all.
But never be afraid about family. And again, it's one of those films that mirrors the young and the old. The same way Kevin wished for his family to go away is the same way the mom wished to be away from Kevin at that same moment. And both of them realizing that, the mom realizing, as much as bratty as my son is, he's still my son, and I fucked up. It's that back and forth. And I think that's where the heart of the film is, of appreciating what you take for granted in terms of family. And I think that moment with Mr. Marley, even Kevin realizing, when Mr. Marley asks him, have you been a good boy this year? He's like, yes. Really? No. That realization of admitting that, no, I haven't been good this year. I've been a pain this year. He understands his part in the issue that they're in. And this is why he's in this situation. And I thought that's part of the reason why this film is great. But there's no time to talk too much. He has to go home and have his dinner. But there's no time for dinner. Instead, the clock is striking. I always just get pissed off that he didn't get to eat his spaghetti. I don't know what it is.
Right?
It looks so good, though.
Right? I mean, the kid made himself
his little spaghetti, and he had to blow out that can. And I was like, take at least one bite, Kevin. You worked hard for that meal, man.
Right?
You almost got arrested.
He almost got arrested.
I always love when he starts doing his plan where the music goes dun 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 dun, dun and then he puts the plan out. I was like,
it gets so epic.
So
that's
epic.
the best part. Even as an adult, when the music comes on, I'm like, let's go with the blueprint.
Oh shit! He does everything.
Right? Don't you feel like you're there with him? You're like Kevin Sagetto. You're like, tell me where to go. Tell me where to go.
It reminds me of? I feel like it's like the little kid version of like Rambo. Like before Rambo just starts murdering the shit out of everybody in town, where it's like, it's about to get real.
Right. When Rambo's like putting his shit on, like,
when he goes to the police station, it's exactly that moment. It's just the kid's version.
Because you see him like, getting his army men, putting him up in pieces in the place. You see him watering the floor to make it slick. He puts the thing on the door handle.
Yeah, exactly.
All the
you just wait for him to like black his face out. All he's missing is camo. Right? If he had camouflage, it'd be over.
And what I like, again, in terms of writing and directing, right? There's no confusion.
Navy SEAL Black Ops.
There's no confusion there. You see what he sets up, all the traps. There's no trap that's like, where the fuck did that come from? Even his escape route to the treehouse, you see him set it up with a rope. So like, there's a lot of planning done, and nothing just seems like random out of place. And I think they do a very, very good job of that.
And it's funny too, because when you see him set it up, you're wondering like, what the hell is all that for?
Right, exactly.
You have no idea what. Like, I definitely didn't think that. Like, I think that's why it's so funny, the stunts, because you're like, you see him icing the steps,
like,
but you don't think that that's what that means. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just think he's just trying to avoid this guy going there. But it's like, damn, I wonder if he planned it out that well.
And it's one of those things where you get a sense, because when you see him set the traps, you're thinking he's setting up just one trap at a time. No, he's setting up contingency traps. So if this one doesn't work, you're going to go into this trap and then go into this trap. Like there's steps to the trap.
I always thought about like, what happens if he left one of the traps out and his parents like accidentally walked into one?
Honestly, I'm surprised that wasn't the little secret ending moment instead of Buzz being like, Kevin, what'd you do to my room? Surprised it wasn't Kevin, just Buzz just getting his whole head burned off.
Right? Like somebody getting decapitated.
Boom, just whole blowtorch to the head. Sorry, Buzz. Because he's going to live paranoid for the rest of his life.
That you can tell that Kevin's a kid when one of the traps is just feathers.
That was so cute. I love that. It's hard and feathered, though.
Why
that was some
like
real shit back in the day.
Yo, they really did that.
That was a real thing.
And that was like a slow, painful death, too.
Yeah, that's what they did to the natives, and the natives did it back. It was real brutal.
I was telling Mike before you guys came on that the stunts in this film was so well received at the time that movies afterwards would call and be like, we want the Home Alone stunt guys. Like that was the like the epitome of stunt stuff. Because again,
it was though. Because
really
to this day I watch it, I'm like, but how?
The stunt
how
guys.
Did any of you live?
No,
it's not like it's CG. Most of those things are real in some way.
No, the director was saying that every time they did the stunts, it was supposed to be funny, but they would wait until the stuntman's like, I'm okay, before you laugh, because you're like, oh, he's not dead.
There's like fucking sparks coming out.
You dead?
I'm okay.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Smoke coming from their hair.
Or you see the stunt where Harry, like you said, Raven, is going on the stairs and he flips back. So the stunt called for him just to fall. The stuntman was like, nah, I'm going to do a flip. It's like, okay then.
Yeah.
So they were all sitting there like,
wait,
yo, if I was at DP, I'd be just so silent. Like
that's what they did, and they were sitting, and then he was like, "Okay, I'm good." And they were like, "Hey,
okay.
great."
That's kind of dope, though. That's kind of dope, though.
Oh
shit!
Can you imagine?
Be guilty.
No, imagine the
like
DP,
as a director, that would give me such odd shit to be like, y'all can't be doing that extra shit because like
I'd
now
have to
I'm thinking
pull them
y'all hurt.
aside, like
exactly.
Okay, so that was really dope, but for my heart. I'm gonna need y'all to just like let me know when you're gonna do things like that, okay?
Like, can I get an eyebrow? Like, wait, if you're feeling it in your bones that you're gonna go for it, so I have a heads up, so I can let my insurance company know.
But make sure that's the last take.
The paint can scenes are my favorite sequences. The paint can.
See, the paint can scenes are some of my favorites, but I also realized, like, getting older, like, that gave kids a bad idea because I really thought I could throw paint cans at people.
Right.
You're not thinking of the fact that people could just die. You could take somebody's head off.
I mean, is it an iron to the face straight?
Well, between that movie and Jumanji, Both of them just had me thinking cans of paint was like weightless.
Oh, yeah,
You know, remember Van Pelt got a whole aisle of cans of paint thrown on him, and he was fine. He's fine.
Clearly, somebody should go check on Raven's family because somebody got hit with a can of paint. Somebody went through a wall. Somebody got hit with a can of paint.
Knocked down on an ice rink floor.
Between somebody's legs. Just saying.
I feel like they didn't endorse the whole "don't try this at home" as much as they did, you know, as much as they do now. Because when I was a kid,
did you guys notice? Did you guys notice? Kevin calls the cops because the phone lines start working now, but he doesn't call the cops to his house. He calls it to one of the neighbors' houses because his plan is going to end up with him running to the neighbor's house. You know, so he calls the cops to the neighbor's house. Something I didn't pay attention to originally, that he calls the cops to the neighbor's house. I also like the scene where he almost gets caught, where he gets caught in the leg and he has to reach for the tarantula. He's like reaching. I always love that scene because again, it's a little dramatic moment.
And then it's also so nice the way he drops.
Like bloop. That is why that's my favorite moment. It's just like
because like there's so many great things about that moment, you know.
Because like you should have let go. You should have let go.
Because the way he turns around, because you're like, what's he gonna do? He just kicks, turns around, smile, place.
Like, oh, look at that.
And he just looks at it like,
Because that was a real spider. That was a real spider on the actor's real face. He couldn't scream. He had to mime the scream, and they put it in ADR afterwards because he can't actually scream with the spider.
Because the spider would have bit him. So he had to be like...
pretend and mime.
But you know what makes that so much better, realizing it now? Because that scream is so good.
Right.
That it always seemed fake to me. I was like, that doesn't... I was like,
no, that seemed real to me because, you know, guys,
like the scream was good, but it was so good that it was like, how can he scream that well on command like that? And it's like, he probably had multiple takes of just sound to get a special, unique scream. Which
I love the next scene afterwards when the tarantula falls on Harry. Harry just wakes up after being knocked unconscious and just sees Marv over his head with the crowbar. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, "Slap."
I know. I just like, no, wait, this is not a good idea. Like,
with a crowbar.
Imagine being Harry waking up, seeing someone.
Yeah, because you realize like your friend's his fear has like obviously overrun his logical part of his brain.
Well, he doesn't see the spider either. Harry doesn't know there's a spider there, so you just think your friend went crazy.
Oh yeah, literally.
I was thinking maybe he felt there was something on his face and he didn't know what was on his face. Like he just felt something, but he didn't know. He was like, "Wait, what?"
No, he wakes up. He doesn't see the spider. He's just like, "Wait, Marv, what are you doing?" And Marv's like, "Don't move." He's like, "Wait, what are you doing?" He's just like, smash. So that's just waking up. Your friend is over your face with a crowbar saying, "Don't move."
No, like, what
and then smacks you in the stomach. And it's like, what the fuck was that for?
So messed up.
What are you doing? Kevin escapes the treehouse. He's trying to lead them on. And like they're so stupid. They're like, "No, he's trying to lead us downstairs. Let's go across the rope."
Yo, watching it again this time, Harris and I were like looking. We were like, okay, but that was your better plan?
I love when they don't realize he's slid across. They're looking out the window, looking down. He's like, "Where did he go?" And Marv's like, "I don't know. Maybe he committed suicide." I was like, what? You don't see a body there. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's so terrible.
And you just knew that as soon as they started going across that road.
But the thing is, the second they get on it, I'm like, just cut it down. And then sure enough, Kevin... But this is I'm looking like
big ass.
Guys, you couldn't have thought this was the better choice. You guys, you two specifically though, not anyone, not just any fit man, but you two men specifically.
You think you could
who don't seem like you have much upper body strength.
Right.
Planned on doing what exactly across that thin rope.
And then the excuse was like, what if there's more traps in the house? Just go back the way you came. Like,
yeah, stupid. You just went through half of them.
Like, relax.
But then again, honestly, I'd probably just jump out the window at that point.
I get the fear. You'd probably have some
That's
kind of
what I'm saying. You just got your head blown off. You just stepped into pins and needles, got a tarantula thrown on your chest. He probably scared of the tarantula that's still in the house. It's still on the loose.
Right.
You know, there could be more paint cans.
Though they get one smart moment though when Kevin does run into the other house through the basement. They're like, no, we're not going to follow him. They go through the front door. This is where Kevin gets caught. And, as a kid, that was very scary.
That was the most tense moment of the whole movie for me.
Agreed. They do a good job because you're like, oh shit. You feel sorry. You're like, oh, because you realize how small he is when they lift him up. You're like, damn, he's a small little kid. You just like hung him up on the wall like that. Fun fact, Joe Pesci accidentally
That's
bit.
this scene that I have, right? Like
Yeah, there you go. He accidentally, the scene was like, I'm going to eat him, bite his little fingers off. Joe Pesci actually bit his finger a bit too hard, broke skin, and to this day, Macaulay Culkin still has that scar. And he shows it off as his Joe Pesci scar.
Wow, Joe Pesci scar.
He went too far into it. And also,
I mean, that is quite an accomplishment, especially back in the day. He was a mob boss everywhere. But hey, I got this bite from Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci scar. Speaking of Joe Pesci as a mob boss, he's known for his R-rated gangster mob movies. That is why his character doesn't curse, but kind of does. I feel like Joe Pesci made that because he wanted to curse so badly, and he just kind of kept it in.
Because like realistically, he would know like all of this shit happening to a crook or a thief. He'd be like, "This, I'm gonna strangle this child. I'm gonna kill this. I'm gonna kill him."
I had so many curse words that weren't curse words to where my mom started banning those too.
Right. It's the thought behind it, Raven. It's the thought behind it.
Freak? I couldn't say what the freak no more. She's cutting everything off. I was like, fudge. What'd you say? Fudge. You can't say fudge no more. Mom, it's chocolate.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, no matter what, I know what you mean. Say something else.
This is the moment Kevin is about to get taken out, but just in time, the one person on that neighborhood who didn't go on family vacation, Mr. Marley, comes, smacks the thieves in the back of the head, shows them up, boom, boom. I love the consistency
Super Marley.
Right? I love the consistency of his introduction with the boots. You always see the boots first. That is a constant thing. You're like, oh, Mr. Marley's there. Yeah. Takes them out. Saves the day.
He's like in my evening fit with my boots on.
Right. And I love this moment because, like Kevin saved the day, the bandits get arrested. We get that moment where the cop's like, hey, thanks for leaving the water running. Now we know every single place that you robbed. Just like idiots. You just left your mark everywhere.
Dumbasses.
But, you think the movie's over then, but the movie's still not over because, Kevin is still without his family. He still made his wish. And I love the moment where before he goes to bed, Christmas Eve, he leaves milk and cookies for Santa, hoping his wish will come true because he wants his family back. And I'm like, aw, this kid. Can I tell you, I don't care how old I get and how many times I see this movie. Fuck, Macaulay Culkin was cute as shit as a kid.
He was.
I'm sorry. Adorable little kid. Such a cute kid. And then you watching, you're like, but what happened?
Hardcore drugs.
Yeah, we know hardcore drugs.
The hard shit. Not the good shit, the hard shit.
It's just a lot of
But
stuff
you know
happened.
What? I'll give it to him. He put his life together again. He
figured it out. Now he's with Brenda Song, right?
Right? Like he's got his shit together. Like
he's married.
There's
Disney Channel?
Yes.
Song?
Yes, Brenda Song.
Yeah,
Brenda. She fixed him though.
Right?
She fixed him. You haven't heard a fucking thing since she got with him.
I feel like there's people who've gone through less and end up dying. He's someone that like not for anything. If it came out in the late 90s, early 2000s that Macaulay Culkin had died because of an overdose or something, it would be sad, but it wouldn't have been like, oh shit, because he was going down that road at one point, right? So he got like super skinny and stuff like that.
He was like Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, like doing crazy stuff. But you know what? Good for him. He brought his life back together again. Because he was a good actor. It's just his personal life and all that crazy stuff. But he was never a bad actor. It's one of those things.
Never. Yeah. That was the problem though, because despite everything
he was too good too early.
He was still able to show up on set and do a great job. No one cares.
But the thing is, he was
Hollywood is like, but hey, we got the shot. Go back to your drugs, kid. It's fine.
Yep. That is no problem. Yeah, I love the sequence. I was saying earlier, right before he came on. Again, this movie, as ridiculous as the concept is, it reminds you that yes, but parenting can still be hard and tough and make mistakes. When the mother, because the movie's aware of itself. The mother, she says, I'm a terrible parent. How could I do this? It's ridiculous. But then, Uncle Buck. Well, his name's not Uncle Buck, his name's Gus, says to him, well, you know what? We're all terrible parents. This guy hasn't seen a kid in like 3 weeks. This guy left his kid at the theme park. This guy, like, so to tell them, that moment of realize, like, we make mistakes and it sucks, but that's kind of life.
It's life, yeah.
These are things that happen to people, like there's real life stories of parents who are great parents as much as in terms of the basics. You just one mistake. It's not like you're a terrible parent. It's in real life, mistakes happen and can have lasting ramifications. I think I like that the movie doesn't ignore that and doesn't pretend that what she did wasn't terrible.
Right.
It touches on it, which I kind of, again, you're dealing with a ridiculous premise already, so it's like at least acknowledge that this is a crazy situation. Christmas morning, Ken wakes up. At first, there's nobody at home, and this is where the magical realism of the movie happens, right? This is what makes it a Christmas movie, because his Christmas wish comes true. Mom comes into the house and is like, oh my God, Mom is there and Kevin is there. You can't not be happy when she hugs and they hug each other. Right? You feel that moment of just like, yay. What I find hilarious is that 2 seconds later, the family arrives and the dad's like, yeah, remember that flight you said you didn't want to take? We took it the next day.
Which I was like, damn, that hurts. That hurts. They show up 5 minutes after you, not even, like, ow.
And she spent money for all those connecting flights.
You had to ride with the Poca kids.
Right.
She had to spend money for those connecting flights. She did.
You had to ride with Sheboygan. You took 4 flights, and a fucking moving van.
And they arrived 2 minutes after.
Ouch.
But
at the same time, it's like, as a parent, I wouldn't be able to sit still either.
Mm-hmm. True.
I would just have to get up. Even if I fucking swam to Chicago, I would be like, oh, I gotta go now. So I get it, but it also still like, it's that little jab, ouch.
Yeah, I was saying, Raven, I want to see a spin-off film where you see the mom's perspective, because a lot of the trip we don't see, because she mentions different stops. She's like, I just came from Ohio to this place and this place to this place. So do a whole film that kind of fills in that gap. And I also want to see another film that gives us the full Angels, what's it called, the movie? The fake movie?
Angels and...
Angels with Filthy Souls.
Angels with Filthy Souls. There we go.
Which is a great title.
It's amazing. And then in the second movie, there's like a second film. It's like Angels and something.
I'm saying somebody should make that whole film. Like, show us what happened before and after that scene. Like, why did snakes get killed?
That was such a great monologue.
They had 20 plus years to get it together, and how we still, like, I didn't want a Home Alone 2. I wanted it Angels with Filthy Souls, volume 1 and 2. Right? I want the completion.
Raven, don't worry. One day we're going to make it. We're going to get the pitch for it. We're going to write a script for Angels with Filthy Souls, the story of how snakes gets killed. And the second
I need to have the moment of keep the change, you filthy animal. Makes sense. I need to know perspective.
Why is he a filthy animal?
Dirty rotten girl did.
Why is he a filthy animal?
Why? You're no good, yellow, dirty rotten keister off my property, or I'll pop your guts full of lead.
Can I tell you? I want to use keister in a sentence one day.
I love saying keister.
Get your keister off my property.
My dad I grew up with my dad saying keister a lot.
That's such an American.
It's a white people term. I think they I don't know.
It's white American.
Yeah,
that's the American movie.
My black dad only called me turkey.
I love the ending of the movie. I love that we get the moment to see old man Marley and his son. I was like, aw, he took his son.
That was a sweet moment.
Again, showing us the heart of the film.
It hit me a lot more now that I'm older. When I was a kid, I was like, that's nice. Now I'm like,
because we're all in quarantine and some of us have not really seen our family.
Like, I would hug my parents.
So, when you see your parent like once every 3 months, like some of us longer than that. States. Right?
Live like in Florida,
and you just see like
Texas. You're just like, Mom.
You just see the sad story. You realize the sad story of Mr. Marley, where it's like a fight he had with his son years ago means the only way he can see his granddaughter is by going to church when she's doing a recital. So it's like, oh, and then now everyone's coming to his house, and it's because he made up with his son. Now he can see his son and granddaughter more often. It's just like, ah, and again, it shows you that could have been Kevin's life in a certain way, where Kevin made a wish to not talk to his mom, and it could have been 10 years before he talks to her again, and Mr. Marley was kind of reminding him of that don't let that time go by, because it's important, and I love that. And the movie continues to be great. I think it's a movie I will continue to watch every year, and I think it has like a timeless appeal to it.
For sure.
Even though it's the 90s, you kind of, yes, there's certain things that won't fly today, but just watching it today, you still. I feel like
the scene of just them being in an airport with no mask gave me anxiety. I was watching it like
they just
breath. They're all touching things and no sanitizer.
Yeah, I don't think I will ever leave the house without a face mask ever again.
No,
there's no need.
Even when it's over, I'm gonna still be like,
for life. That's it. That's it for life. My life has changed. There's no
completely. I can't unsee it now. Now if I see people in an airport anywhere,
I can happily be a germaphobe, and I don't care if I offend you. If I'm being mean, you're like, well, I don't care. Nope.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, no one can feel offended. I feel like we're still living in that era. People are only going to be offended when we're the old people still doing it in our 80s. And people are like, what the fuck are you still doing? We live in a time
when the new generation comes along, they stop wearing masks, and we're like, nope.
No, because like they found cures to everything, but we're still stubborn.
Yeah, but it's just like, first of all, people in Asia have been wearing.
Cart.
I'm still washing my fruit and my groceries, and my granddaughter's like, Granddad, why do you wash your groceries? That's what we do.
Every time I'm disinfecting my my bags, all that.
Oh my god, too much.
Yeah. On that note, yes, I love this movie. I also enjoyed the sequel. I think the sequel is fun. This first one's better. The sequel's a lot of let's do that again. But you know what?
The sequel is just a lot of like, how many death scenes can we get away with without these guys dying?
Yeah.
Like they didn't die, but like the second movie is way more brutal. Like Marv falls off like a 4-story building. Like the paint that falls in that movie is from like 10 stories high. It's like, no, you're dead.
Well, that's what I was saying to Mike.
I love 3 though. I feel like we should. 3 is a good one.
I've never even actually watched.
I've seen 3 and 4. My issue with 3 and 4 is, which started with 2, is that again, it forgets that the first one only has like 20 minutes of hijinks and crazy stunts, whereas the subsequent movies like more, to the point where at 4 the whole movie is just stunts, and they forget the heart of the film and the family aspects of what the actual story of the film is. It just becomes more about stunts, which is fun when you're a kid watching it. But those ones don't have as much longevity as you get older, because it's like...
Right.
No, they had planned a third movie. In fact, the third movie was planned at the time of the second movie. And they had planned for, as Macaulay gets older, he's supposed to be a teenager this time. But Macaulay was at his time where he was like, no, I've quit acting now. Forget that shit. I was saying earlier on that they are doing a remake, but the remake's slightly different. It's a Disney Plus remake where the kid is the antagonist messing with this new couple in their new house. I don't know the specifics of it, but it's flipped. I mean, I like stories about asshole kids that you want to beat up, so maybe they're going to this.
Right?
Oh my god, Dave.
So, on that note, thank you, Mercedes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
My name is English Dave, and this has been a Back to the Feature on the 1990s Home Alone, like we've all been this whole year. And as always, Mercedes.
Keep it nerdy, y'all.
Keep it